Thanks for joining me for part 2 of my Roycycled Christmas in July project. I hope you guys have enjoyed all the wonderful videos today. And so when I'm decoupaging this, my paper is a little bigger. Let me see, do I want to trim that perfectly? I'm going to trim it a little bit closer. Whenever you're decoupaging an inset like this, I'm always hesitant to trim my paper perfectly because I just feel like it doesn't leave me any margin for error. So you're either going to try to cut it perfectly, or you're going to have to be super mindful to not get your medium your decoupage medium where you don't want your paper to stick. And because this piece is so ornate and we've already done, like a full finish on the frame, I'm going to go ahead and risk trying to cut the paper perfectly, which I already regret doing, but it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. And even when it's not fine, it's fine. Okay. So because I'm being super particular about where I want to put this, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go ahead and mist my paper and really get it where I want it. And then I'll just pull up one end and start decoupaging. But the paper will already be where it needs to be. And because this is a small piece, I'm just going to decoupage it all down at the same time. So I have a little bit of overage on this side, so I'm still going to have to be kind of careful. I feel like I need to scooch it just a little bit. Just a wee bit. So I don't have as much overlap over there. And because this is bowed a little bit, I'm going to have a little crinkle somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with my decoupage varnishing glue, and we're going to get this adhered inside of our frame. Oh, Lord. Again, I'm being super particular about how this paper is laying down. So I'm going to go ahead and do this kind of an anchor row to establish where the paper is going to sit and get that laid down. I do want to make sure that I get product all the way down to where the other one stopped, right? And then we have our ribbon. Do we want the ribbon? Yes or no? Let me see. We'll put it. There's not really enough space to put it there, but I think if I put it this way. I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to do some crackle over this. And then I think that will solve my big question mark, because this one has more of a sepia tone a little bit, and the other papers are a little warmer. So I was going to add a glaze to kind of unify them. But I think because we're going to be using the classic crackle over the top of this, that it's going to take care of that, because we're going to use the glaze inside of the cracks of the crackle. So I've been using the fine line crackle and I love it, but Megan has really challenged me to use the classic crackle, and the classic crackle is all water-based. So we don't have to worry about like using, a solvent base sealer and all the things. So let's do this one. Let me dry this first though. Let's make sure this is dry before we go in with our first layer of crackle. And I need to trim that too. I feel like that is dry. I'm going to be using my X-Acto knife. Do not know if this, oh, it is X-Acto. I call all blades X-Acto knives, right? And I'm just going to go around. I am using the edge on the side of this piece to guide my blade. So I'm not cutting straight down like that because I'm more likely to get something kind of warbly. So by really using the side of this piece to guide the blade, I'm more likely to get a straight cut. And making sure that my piece was dry, whoops, before I started trimming, I'm more likely to get a nice clean cut as well. I probably should have made sure my blade was sharper though, because it's not quite dry. I am rushing it. If I were just working and I was not filming for you guys, I would probably let this rest a little bit before I try to trim it, because these two edges are meeting right here. And so there's just more likely to be moisture in this area. So even if this part is dry, um, these edges, this space where these two edges are meeting are likely to still have moisture trapped in there. So I'm going to try to get a clean cut, but I'm struggling because I don't think my blade is very sharp either. I'm fired. So make sure your blade is sharp and your paper is completely dry so that when you trim, you get a nice clean cut. I have this area right here where I have two pieces of paper. I'm trying to cut through with this dull blade. I'm not helping myself out at all here. But it's fine. Once we put the crackle in, I don't think it's going to be super obvious. I have a few areas where I got white paint. So I'm going to go in with my detail brush and try to be super careful and clean this up. Now that everything is dry and trimmed, we're going to do the crackle over this. So well, we're going to see this is component one. So we're going to put component one in. And I know that from past that we're going to use a nice clean dry brush for that. So I have two brushes that are clean and dry. So I'm going to put the first component on. And this is the classic crackle. This isn't the fine line crackle. So this one is water-based. So I don't have to worry about using a solvent-based sealer. But I don't know what kind of crackle it's going to make. I'm curious to see. I am being generous with the amount that I'm putting on the surface, and I don't want to overwork it. So I think I'm going to stop now. And you guys, our crackle doesn't have to be consistent all the way across the piece, right? If you ever buy an antique piece with crazing, seldom do you have even crazing everywhere. Generally, you would just have like spots. So I'm going to dry this layer completely. And I know that if you leave this to crack to dry on its own, that you'll get better results. So if you guys are working at home, put your first layer on and let it dry by itself. But you guys know, when we're demonstrating, we're generally on camera. And so we're rushing things a bit. When I'm using this dryer, you guys, I want to be careful because I don't want to bubble my decoupage, right? So you guys will notice that this dryer, I am like constantly moving. And I do want my component first to be completely dry before I go over with the second component. So I'm going to take my time and make sure that this is completely dry without bubbling it. I'm going to let that rest a few minutes while we trim this one. It's pretty dry. It's not all the way dry, but I think it's dry enough for us to trim. And I'm just using a finger sander. And you guys will notice that I'm going straight down. Well, I'm going down and across, but I'm not going up. That enables me to be able to trim it quickly without risking lifting the paper up off of the surface. And I believe this is actually a 120 grit that I'm using, which is a little lower than normal. Normally, I'll say a 220 is nice because it allows you to trim quickly without like scoring your project. You guys can see how you can see that glaze layer that we put around that. I just love this piece so much. Look at how pretty that is. Just by itself without anything on it. Our glaze dried beautifully. So our edges are finished. Oh, I think I can centralize that right there. That is going to be so pretty. But first we have to get our crackle done. I'm going to put down part 2. And hopefully I get some crackle. We'll see. I feel like I need to shake this. I want to make sure that everything is mixed really well. I am making like small little hatch marks as I lay this down. I think this is pretty dry, but I'm not sure about how much crackle I got. I think I'm going to go ahead and glue this on here, and I'll come back later and add some, because it's not drying quickly enough and I don't want to ruin it. So I'm going to go ahead and use some heavy body gel to attach this, and then we're going to leave it. And then I'll show you guys what it looks like though after. And the same gel that we used to go around the edges underneath is what I'm going to go over the crackle with. And this is Pent Art's Heavy Body Gel. And I'm going to use this as glue today to adhere my frame to my piece. And it's heavy body gel too, you guys. And I'm laying down a generous amount. And I don't want to go all the way to my edges because it's going to squish. That's a technical term. When I lay it down, and I don't want to have a bunch, squished out around the frame. Make sure I know where I'm going to set it. And my resin is still soft too because I've been using so much heat. So it's nice because I feel like that's going to help it adhere even better. And that's my piece for today. What do you guys think? I think this is going to be a beautiful a piece of decor that I can add to my wall during the holiday season, my gallery wall during the holiday season. I love all the yummy bits that are here in the background. And then we have our angel in the foreground who's highlighted. I do think that once we go over with the gel and we warm her up a little bit, that she will look more harmonious with everything else that's going on here. But thank you so much for joining me. And you guys know it's always a laboratory around here. There is no perfection, because where experimentation goes, creativity follows. You guys make time to experiment and to ask yourself what happens if. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you next time. Have a blessed week. Be sure and circle back to watch the first part of this video. And if you're joining us live for the Roycycled Christmas in July event, please know that there's a playlist and you can go back and watch all of the videos. If you're watching the replay, you can start from video number 1, which is the first part of this video, and work your way through some fabulous projects by Roycycled retailers who were generous enough to share their gifts with us, to give us projects to help inspire us, to give us additional information on how to, and to give you ideas about what you can create using Roycycled Decoupage Paper. Thank you so much for joining us.